A palette full of color, we'll leave the truth uncovered, cause only lies are white. We use the words we write to shine a light on life. My light is lava like it's hot and burning bright. Now read, recall, record, recite. We covered every angle, now hope.
Hello everybody, we are back with another episode of And Cyn. I am Cynthia Dorsey.
I am Veronique McRae.
We're so happy you're in the room with us today. Today's playwright is not only a playwright, she is also an actor, which is a lovely, lovely addition to our ever-growing list of playwrights of color, female playwrights of color. She graduated from Ohio State University with a BA in English and theater and got her master's degree in playwriting from Columbia University. Her name is Jocelyn Bioh. Jocelyn is a Ghanaian American writer, and her parents are both immigrants from Ghana. She grew up in New York and went to Milton Hershey's boarding school, and that's where her love of theater began. She chose in school to become an actress. She's the youngest of her siblings, but growing up in an African household, a lot of times people will say their parents are strict on education and they want to give their child the best education so that they can become a doctor, lawyer. So she often calls herself, especially in an article in the New York Times, the black sheep of her family, because she's the only one out of her siblings to pursue the arts. She did speak on the theater department in college. She felt that she was typecast. There weren't a lot of roles for her as an actress of color, so that further pushed her want to create and write plays of her own so that Black actresses could have a fighting chance. Her style of writing varies, but she is always looking to add the African perspective in her work, which is, I would say, very necessary in our industry today. Some of the plays she has written includes African Americans, which was a Ruby Prize finalist in 2011, Nollywood Dreams, The Lady Killer's Love Story featuring music and lyrics by CeeLo Green. So if you know that Lady Killer's album, she has a play about it. And Happiness and Joe, which is a romantic comedy. Today's play that we're covering that she wrote is Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play, which is definitely doing rotations throughout the United States and even on Broadway. This playwright is new and brings a fresh perspective, I feel, to the industry. She's up next, and I'm so happy that we are reviewing her work.
So a little more about Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play. One thing I love is the two title name. That's kind of a throwback to other plays, especially from African Americans back in the day. They would have two titles. But Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play, is actually based off of an occurrence that happened in about 2011, where the pageant officials for Miss Ghana wanted to have a contestant to actually have a fighting chance to win the first West African country pageant and move on to Miss Universe. And in the setting of her play for Schoolgirls, we're at the Aburi Girls boarding school. She's actually set this in the year of 1986, and Aburi boarding school is in the Aburi Mountains of central Ghana. And we meet a group of girls in the boarding school who are preparing to participate in this pageant. And without giving everything away in the intro, just to say it is a very typical popularity hierarchy system in which our playwright introduces concepts of how Africa and West Africa view the Americas and the issues of colorism within that realm of Africa, the Americas, and the pageant.
Yeah. I
I
actually
can't give more description about jumping in, so we can just jump in.
I actually saw the play live before
Mm.
it. So I saw it I want to say last year at Roundhouse Theater in Maryland, in Bethesda, Maryland,
Mhm.
and it was just nice to see a cast full of Black women, different sizes, ages, weights, skin complexions, and
Mhm.
so I actually took my goddaughter to see it, and I was so happy that she could see actresses of vast difference come on the stage and perform such a phenomenal piece, because it's a great piece to
Mhm.
witness and to read. Um, and so I know, like, researching Jocelyn, she went to boarding school herself. Her mom went to boarding school herself.
Mhm.
And so she has taken both her and her mother's experiences and added it into this play. I didn't go to boarding school, but for those of us who didn't, we have felt a lot of that same high school mean girl esque stuff, and so I
Mhm.
think it's a very relatable play for everyone.
Definitely. I think I just have to second the first thing that I love about it is the specificity of the casting, which is necessary because of the issues that come up with colorism, but that you see a cast full of women of color of African and or African American descent, and for the character Erica, also biracial. But um, Jocelyn is first and foremost not only telling her story and intertwining it to her Ghanaian culture and her American culture, but giving opportunities for actresses. You don't find a lot of plays like this, which is what inspired you to do this show, which is why you always hear when we reflect with other actresses, oh, I've done For Color Girls, I've done In the Blood, I've done, because there's only a certain, amount. So A, I love the casting, just like you said with her. B, in reading it, it just put me back into how those cliques were in high school. As soon as you start reading, you can see it. I haven't had the opportunity to see it in person yet, but just the way it's written, from like even living those collegiate experiences from 20 years plus ago, and from teaching in high school, the way that she develops those characters, you can tell they're coming from real experiences. You can see each and every girl, and you see kind of like your two main characters, Paulina and then introducing Erica, and how Paulina's kind of, she is your ultimate mean girl. She is the ringleader, the popular one, the one who everyone kind of aspires to be around on the surface level,
Right.
right? And if you start to look at how cliques are, usually it's this surface level. You have the ringleader, and everyone wants to be like her. And then as you start peeling the layers back, like if you're peeling layers on an onion, you kind of get to the nitty gritty of what the dynamics are of the group. Um, I think for me personally, one of the things that struck me was the character of Nana, because the first thing that said is, oh man, in that description, she's a young girl of a larger size, and it says that she's like pseudo dumb. That that rubs me. And the reason it does is because unfortunately, usually that's always what's associated with females of a larger size, like they lack intelligence, and always all everything is centered around their weight and their love of food and eating, and may not have intelligence. So that stung a little bit. Not saying that that character type may not exist, but for me, being a woman of color who's always being considered plus size or whatever in the industry. That's usually what the roles are like, either comedic or unintelligent,
Yeah.
which is kind of like,
Yeah.
But for within the realm of this play, you do see how those structures work, particularly in this age range when dealing with what would basically be considered high school or boarding school age
Right.
girls.
Right. I yeah, I mean, I guess Nana's character registers with me too, being, an actress, being of the fat girl at school. It's like, but she's not really dumb. She has plans to go
Right.
to college. She is the only one of all of them that has gotten a job. And I imagine that's because her parents really can't afford to have her in this boarding school. And also she can't have the perks and everything, but she has a job working for head mistress. And she, she does take food and store it and I guess hoard or whatever, but she's in fact hungry. She's not able to have as much food as others would have, so her parents can't afford to feed her the way others in that school's parents can feed them. So it's I think her character had a lot of depth to it, but you're right. I would love to see I would love to see the fat character not be written in such a comedic, downtrodden, best friend, not as smart way, because that's not true to what's happening in society. But the actress that played this particular character was also, her name is Jay Jones, and she played it here in Bethesda, Maryland. She also was Red Riding Hood and Into the Woods at Ford's Theater. So this young actress, plus size actress, is actually working in the DMV area, which is amazing. And I took my goddaughter to see Into the Woods as well, and she recognized her immediately. She's like a fan now, my goddaughter. So that having roles be created for plus size actresses is the first step, right? That's the first step. But to write our characters with depth, we can be the love interest, we can have a sex scene, all of these things that we live our natural lives. Weight is the after. It's like it's not a factor in the way we're living our lives. We have very fruitful, fulfilling, successful lives. And I think your point is really valid.
So, and it's not to take away from the beauty of the work at all. Right. It's just something that, kind of jumped out just because it did strike a personal chord, which is what work is supposed to do. So it's doing its job in different levels. I mean, I do think I appreciate that as we go through that, we do see her use her voice, because even in different scenes of her singing and stuff, there was a timidity, and that timidity comes from, probably being self-conscious or being told. But we also do see those depths within her character of her starting to use her voice, which I sincerely appreciate as well. I think one of the things that really struck me, and just like the essence of this play, is how these young women viewed themselves, and how Paulina tried to display these levels of strength and almost like arrogance, because she would put on like a pseudo humility or different things, but like, I'm the best and I'm going to get this. And we find out later on, she's struggling with her identity, and particularly with her skin complexion. When the character Erica is introduced into the picture, Erica is, to what the girls believe, just a very light-skinned Ghanaian young lady. And they even bring up or ask what lotions or things does she use, as into referencing to lightening creams or bleaching creams and substances. It is, for me, that's heartbreaking, because that is still an issue. That's an issue. I believe the play did its first press release in 2017. So it's not like this was written and this was the issue from 25 years ago. Unfortunately, colorism has not only, infiltrated, it's always been an issue of racism and colorism in the Americas, but it has traveled throughout the world. If you look in from various Asian cultures to the African culture we're discussing to Latin cultures, colorism is a problem where the lighter, fairer skin is viewed as better, is viewed as prettier, and is viewed as what you want to be. So when Erica is introduced, we hear the girls talking about this bleaching cream.
Right.
It's sad that it's relevant, that it has to be a discussion, because it shouldn't matter what your hue is. We're all beautiful. But that is why there is the necessary push to remind, especially, and our young girls and boys, but since this plays, specifically around girls, your Black is beautiful. You are beautiful. And for me, because I am not of darker skin, I haven't been told that you're ugly because your skin is dark. I'm not, because your skin is a darker hue, right? I would be more on the end of Erica's character, and where you might not quite fit in either group, because you don't look like me. You look more like them, but you're not them. But to be told that you're not beautiful, or to feel like you literally have to alter your body to be accepted, to me, that's abhorrent. But you see it still every day. And I think there are a few countries, I can't remember, that recently started banning bleaching cream over in Africa. I don't believe Ghana was one of them. I can't remember, but I think it was about a year, maybe a year or two ago, where they started banning it.
I think Africa in general, they've begun to ban it. When my family and I went to Ghana, you still see bleaching cream billboards and stuff. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily being sold, but it's definitely an issue that has infiltrated our culture, this skin color thing. I don't know really what else to say about it. I think in this play, seeing a young girl deal with it goes to show you that even headmistress, as an adult, her self-worth and how she felt about herself, all of that stuff transcends time. So, to confront the issues with colorism as when in a child is necessary, so that they're not carrying it over into adulthood. And it was nice to see that in the play. You have these children dealing with it, but you also have the adult women dealing with it. And I would love to teach this play to a group of girls. I would love to open this conversation up to a group of girls. We need to, this definitely should be anchor text in some lessons. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, because I think for me, always the thing I've loved about theater, and the thing that I love about this playwright, is that you can put this show up and it creates a safe space to then have discussion about this, because we know it exists, but there still need to be more conversations about it, because as you mentioned in the play, there are adults and children dealing with it. And as long as adults are dealing with it, they're teaching that to the children, and it becomes generational. We see where the headmistress and the official who comes back, who went to school with the headmistress, and we see their issues there. And she's looking for the next girl to represent. And she's looking for what would be universally accepted,
Right.
and that's to be more on the European side. And so you're absolutely right. If it's not addressed with children and also dealt with an adult, it becomes cyclical. Like it is taught, because you're taught that this is beautiful or taught that this is not.
Mm-hmm.
You don't come out, babies don't come out, and 2-year-olds don't come out and be like, "Ooh, ugly, ugly." Like that's not, that's not what they do. But when they get taught, I'll hear people and I'm like, they might be like, "Oh, your baby's so dark," or "Oh, your baby's so," or, just harsh stuff. And that's adults teaching children. And then even at that age, all they hear is, "I'm ugly.
Right.
I'm too dark."
Mm-hmm.
Or these nicknames we like to do culturally that don't, fit. Like there's, I hate that little saying. I don't know where it came from. It's not true, but that whole "sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Words shape you.
Yeah.
Words go into the subconscious. And so we see these girls and they know what is being said, and they see. And it's so funny to even see that connection between Africa and America, what they see and what they think. They reference like, my aunt works at a high-end restaurant. She works at White Castle. Y'all, White Castle.
White
Okay,
Castle.
I was born in New York, grew up in the South, and moved back to New York. Okay, White Castle will give you the best fast food little burger if you get to the right one. In Queens, not Manhattan. And with the little onions and stuff. This is not high end. This is fast food.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have a dress from Calvin Klein. Oh, my aunt, she got it from the best place, Chinatown, because it's Calvin Klein, not Calvin Klein. I love what the playwright does with that, but it shows you these perceptions of, is this why everybody wants to get to America and the American dream and everything's better in America? And if you made it to America, then you've made it, you've arrived. And what I have here isn't anything, because look at that. But that is a mirage. That is not what you think this is.
Yeah.
What it is are very different.
And also, I hate to say this is not a political show, but whoever our leader is, whoever our president is, it reflects us as we travel overseas. So
right.
I have been overseas during the Bush era. I've been overseas during the Obama era. I've been overseas during the Trump era. And it every single time, people's reception of me has been different. And you can take that for whatever you want to take that as, but whoever's leading us affects our worldwide view of Americans. And I feel like as a country, we have so many issues that other countries do not have. Okay.
Right.
We have so many issues, but at the same time, I feel like we should be able to travel and not have to defend ourselves and to feel safe. And that comes from the top down. And so it's all linked. It's all linked. How a child in America views a child in Africa, how a child in Africa views a child in America. It's all linked by our educators and who is leading our various countries.
I mean, it's very true. And I think that's why what's so difficult is that, truth needs to be taught and experience and exposure. I have not traveled across seas since I was a teenager. But the experience as a teenager stuck with me, because the images that you used to see, that you mainly see of Africa on TV, are very impoverished, destitute areas. And in high school, through our theater program, we had an international student exchange program. So throughout that time, one of the years I was able to travel to the Gambia, West Africa, and to Dakar, Senegal. And that experience still just is imprinted on my mind. It shifted everything that you were taught through media and imagery in school. How beautiful the land is, how plentiful the land is, how joyful, everyone is over there, how giving, how beautiful, because over here it's impoverished. You must go help. We need to send our people to help them, They're dying, they're starving, they're this. But world perception, right? Because over here you're taught that go save them. And then you also have most of that salvific work being done by people completely removed from the culture and just imposing their culture. So you have the issue of, and I mean, for anybody know, I have that theological background in divinity school myself. You have the issue of the white missionary and the salvation complex. And then that enters into the culture. And then you have the culture wanting to be like this. I got to be lighter skinned to be better. I got to be such. So it's a lot to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we can have truth and authentic experience, then we could begin to see and hopefully dismantle some of, for lack of a better term, falsities or falsehoods that exist.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole thing of like, this is what we have to be,
right,
that you see in this play is kind of just, is disheartening. But then you see Erica, who has come from Ohio and moved in to here, and she's like, at least you know who you are. At least you know where you come from. She feels disconnected.
yes,
Right?
yes.
So you have these issues because even, many years ago, I written this play called Chocolate Vanilla, and it was dealing with, colorism and, division within the African American community. And it has some ties back and did different interviews between Africans and African Americans as well when doing it, but just the disconnect between Africans and African Americans. But you can see how even in this play, how the viewpoints of one another's lives are skewed. Each side thinks the other one has it better.
Yeah.
So then I've been in conversations or had colleagues or things that'll be like, oh, well, y'all are who are of African descent, direct, and not African American, be like, oh, y'all are just disconnected, or you're not smart, or you're not such and such,
Mm-hmm.
and not understanding the generational effects over here of the transatlantic slave trade,
right,
and what has happened in those set of years. And then you have a group of us who are like, I'm not from there. I'm from North Carolina. I'm from Louisiana. I ain't African.
yeah.
But then you get back and you're like, so your history starts with the enslavement of your people,
right,
but not really. Your history goes further back. So like, you see all these things happening in these young girls who are in boarding school, so high school level, still trying to figure out feelings and talking about boyfriends and talking about looks and dealing with colorism and identity and all these layers you see in her work.
right. Yes. I also love the way she wrote Gifty and Mercy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole comedic, the comedic friends in the group that feed off of each other, almost I don't want to call it slapstick comedy, but it is kind of like just to see that nuance thrown into this body of work that has very serious themes, but we were able to have everybody has a group of friends, a circle of friends where in that circle of friends, you got the class clowns, and they're funny, and they might not be doing that well in school or at work, but they bring the humor to your circle of friends. That was these two, I swear. They had me laughing, reading the text and watching it. It was hilarious. So I think just Jocelyn as a comedic writer too stood out, because comedic writing is very different than dramatic writing, and so to see her put all of those punchlines and technicalities into her writing, a very dramatic piece with the elements of comedy was really nice.
And I think, that's a gift in itself, because when you have a play with heavy subject matter, if it's just always heavy, 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 it kind of hits you over the head and you're kind of bogged down and you're like, what do I do with this? So, to have those moments, you're still getting it, but you're not like, oh my God, I'm depressed. You're more like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do. So I just appreciate it, because anytime I can read something and I can see it, I'm like, man, you did it. Like, you can see the pictures, and if I turn the volume off on the picture, I still know what's going on. And I just, she does that so beautifully with this piece, that I can literally see, like, I'm reading these plays, and when the playwright has me excited, like, ooh, I want to direct this. Like, that's, how I feel about this. Man, you could direct this and get a group of young women and really, dig into this,
Right.
And it's the kind of piece that is relevant, and in this world will be relevant. I could take this piece right now, and even though it may be set with a group from West Africa, you could take this piece to a group of young ladies from Brazil or South Asia, and they're going to all be able to relate, because this issue of beauty and colorism and the American dream honestly exists throughout the world.
Yeah.
I wish it didn't.
Yeah.
But it is an issue that has literally traveled across the globe. You could take this piece and present it to any of those groups, and they would get it. They would understand it. They would see.
Right.
But the way she paint, and I do love that she gave all the character, like, because Paulina at first she would just be like, like, she was the girl I just didn't, I was the one that stayed away from in high school, but we even see her with we see her layers in some moments of redemption or clarification for her. We see it, and I love that too. She didn't keep Pauline like, you're just a mean girl, because no person is one dimensional, right? So she allows us to see these arts. But I love the way she did it, because she did it in language like, oh, you could tell these are high school girls. You could see the switch in the conversation with the headmistress, and the way the dialogue and the conversation is, the eagerness of Paulina, the timidity, or, oh yeah, I'll share such and such an Erica, or Alma, who was just like, you know what, Alma was the first one to jump off and be like, look, Paulina, like, I'm checking you at this point. So it's just been really it's really a brilliantly written piece to address the subject matter at hand. It had me learn something, because I didn't know the history behind the piece, of where, actually coming from something that, happened. It's not an adaptation of what happened, but, pulling from some elements of truth, so it's, yeah. She achieved what she needs to achieve.
So like I said, Jocelyn is up next. She is definitely a playwright to look out for. As people say all the time, actresses make wonderful playwrights because they can experience it from both sides. And so I could really tell that the actress in her in this writing, because the monologues are meaty, the dialogue is meaty, it's interesting, it's funny, there are moments where you would cry, there's sadness, there's happiness. And so as an actress, you want that in characters you play. And so that definitely translated in her body of work. Definitely read the Schoolgirls play. African Mean Girls is the subtitle. And once we break from this corona, I'm pretty sure that it'll still be rotating in various cities, because that's what it was doing before we left and before we were on lockdown. But I really, really appreciate Jocelyn, and I know her career is about to take off. It already is, but she's she has more tools on her belt. So we have a great actress coming in, and I know for sure you are going to love what she has to say. Hi, everybody. We are here with Khaya Fraites. Hi, Khaya.
Hi.
We are so excited to have you in the room today. Khaya is a great actress that just graduated from George Mason last year. And we wanted to just talk to you about being an actress at the start of your career, which is very important to talk about. People generally always talk to people when they're far ahead in their careers, but we want to know how you are doing as you get started and you propel your way through. Talk to us a little bit about your education at George Mason. Do you think it's pivotal to be educated as an actress?
Definitely. I do think it's definitely important to be educated, but I don't think necessarily you have to go to college for it. I think as long as you're taking classes, you're reading, you're doing research, you're just practicing, then you'll be fine. I don't think college necessarily, like, you have to go to be a good actor. I do think for me personally that it did give me a lot of growth and like helped me really discover what I wanted to do. I was a theater major, but I ended up meeting a bunch of film kids in school and like working on student films and going that route, which was a little bit different from what I initially thought I was going to end up doing. But I think that being able to be in that environment and seeing theater, which I still love, and then just being able to be open, like have access to all these other opportunities was definitely pivotal for me, because I feel like I was able to take my training in theater and put it towards acting in film or doing voice acting now, and just like kind of discovering all these little avenues of like still trying to do acting.
So now that you've made that transition and you are located in one of the greatest cities of the world for your field, have you had the opportunity, bar none with COVID-19, to either continue with classes or education up there or start connecting with networks and other actors? How has that transition been? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because there are a lot of students and persons of your age who are like, I'm moving to the city, and they either move to New York or LA. What does that really look like as a young artist?
Moving to New York just in general as an artist, or moving during COVID?
Because you have such a unique position, you could do a little bit of both, because I think there's so much to learn in general, but then you put COVID on top of it. And
yeah.
That's pretty unique right there. So
Yeah.
however you feel it.
Okay. I think it's definitely a lot less intimidating than you would think. I've always wanted to move to New York since I was in middle school, and I did like the little junior shows and did like theater there. I was just like, I have to move to New York. I did Annie in middle school, and they had that song like NYC, and I was like, I have to be there. That's what I have to do. And I just like always knew that that's what I wanted, but I had no idea how I was gonna get there. And my family was very supportive, but also I don't think that they would have thought necessarily that I would have moved as quickly as I did right after school. They're always like, yeah, follow your dreams, do what you want, but can you do that here? Like, are you moving? Like, what's the plan? And I feel like definitely having friends here already helped the move be a lot smoother. As soon as I graduated, I got a job in New York as a summer camp counselor at AMDA, the American Musical Dramatic Academy, and I was a summer camp counselor for their high school program. And thankfully, that job provided me housing for the entire summer. So I was able to go right after I graduated to New York, was living in Manhattan. I was like, oh my God, like this is the dream, like I'm here. And just kind of auditioned as much as I could in between working like 60 hours a week, because that job was tough, but still had a lot of fun and like got used to the city pretty quickly. I just think that like if you want to go, you just have to jump in and do it. And then once you're actually here and you start getting in the room and meeting people, then you start to make connections and you start to make working relationships with people who will just then bring you back and reach out to you like, hey, do you want to work on this project? I remember you from this thing. And it just kind of like is a trickle down effect, but you have to like really put in the work as soon as you get here and just like hit the ground running. And then with like COVID, so I was here, like I said, last summer I was here working that job, and then I ended up booking a musical in DC for the fall. So I was here the whole summer, and then I left from September to December. I was gone, and so I really didn't get to come back and like really start working until January here, where I was like, I'm a freelancer, I'm gonna act, like this is my main gig is acting. That was in January, and then everything started to shut down around March. So it was definitely very difficult, but I feel like I've always been very determined, and I like personally had a goal of like trying to book 4 gigs a month. So like hopefully 1 a week. And it's like, you have 30 days, you know, if you do like 2 gigs in 1 week, oh, you're halfway there. You know, you never really know what you're going to get. And I was like also doing like background work, any commercial or modeling gig that I could find. Like I was applying to like every single thing. Like when it was really busy here, I would apply to like 60, 70 gigs per day that fit my type. And hopefully 1 or 2 will contact you. But like the work is there. You just got to like submit, like on Backstage or Casting Networks, wherever you can find. Actors Access has been really helpful too. But after everything started shutting down, I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like everything I love is like impossible at the current moment. But I started really getting into voice acting, and I got like a microphone and just started submitting to voice acting gigs from home, because like podcasts and animated projects have been really popular because those are things that people can like create and edit from home. So I just started applying to those and have still been able to like get consistent work doing voice acting gigs during a pandemic, which has been such a blessing. But I think you really just have to have a drive to do what you love no matter the circumstance. Like I was definitely down on myself for a while, like once the pandemic started, being like, how am I gonna do this? Was this a mistake to move here? Like who would have thought that this would have happened like right when I feel like I'm getting settled and like getting my footing here, that everything would just shut down. But I ended up sticking it out, and there's even like commercials that were shooting from home. I booked a few of those, and then I did a animated kids movie and a podcast, just like anything that I could find that was like, we need an actor for this little project. It pays like, you know, even if it's just like something, like, okay, at least I did, you know, just anything that I could do to just put food on the table, one, and just keep doing what I love. And as for like training with like COVID and everything, I've just been, I took like a couple Zoom seminar classes, taking notes from different theaters that are having them. And I've been reading a lot of memoirs by artists, a lot of Black actors. I just read Gabrielle Union's Leslie Odom Jr. from Hamilton. His is really, really great. Tiffany Haddish. I just been reading like so many of them just to like take in as much experience and knowledge that I can and try and apply that to my own current situation, even though my current situation with the virus has been super crazy. Sorry, that was a mouthful.
No, I'm thankful that you answered it that way, and I'm just gleaning a whole lot from you just in that one thing. And I think one of the things I'm loving is just your energy and passion. You can tell that you're genuine about it. And I think with you even sharing that, when people are able to view what you're saying, that, you know, energy like that is contagious. And it's like, okay, you know what, she's doing this through a pandemic. Like, so through circumstances that seem impossible, she has pushed because she has this belief. And it's like, maybe I can find that belief in myself too, because someone is doing it despite what's going on. So no, not a mouthful at all. Like, all need it.
Absolutely. I think you can do anything if you believe in yourself. Like, it's always great when other people believe in you, but like you're not going to get work that way. You know, you have to believe in yourself more than your parents believe in you, you know, and that's a lot.
So you mentioned all of the things that you've done over the course of your career thus far, from acting on film to stage to voice acting. I know you've done concerts, so you sing. I want to know from you, what is your end goal? Do you know, as an artist, do you prefer one medium over the other? What do you see yourself doing in about 10 years?
I've always been huge, like the greatest love of my life will always be theater. Like I absolutely just love musical theater, the stage in general. Just it just speaks to me so much. Like when I was little, I like grew up watching like the Brandy Cinderella with Whitney Houston, and I was like, oh my god, like I want to be her. Like I just think musical theater is so so beautiful and connects people in a way that's unparalleled to anything else. Like my boyfriend is not into musical theater at all, but he's been listening to Hamilton and now he's like obsessed. He's like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, I've been telling you this. Like people think that theater is like outdated or whatever, but I feel like I'm so blessed to be in this age of theater, because I feel like it's gotten so diverse and connects even more because of that. But I kind of do want to like do it all now, because I'm like, why not? Like a little bit of everything. The end goal for me will always be like Broadway is like the dream. But I would love to do like a TV show in New York or something, or have a home for a couple years, or maybe a movie, or like I've also just really fallen in love with voice acting like so recently. So I would love to do that too. Like that would be super fun. Whatever. I'm down for whatever.
Can you share some of the things, if they're available to view yet, that you have done recently? Or any of your projects available for viewing yet?
Sure, yeah. On my website, it's just my name, www.khayafraites.com. I have like an updates page, and I update it frequently with everything that becomes available. So there's links to podcasts I've done, and photo shoots I've modeled for, and short films that are out there. And my reels and everything are all in there too.
Okay, awesome.
What do you think is needed today in the entertainment industry, and how will you as an artist remedy that need?
I think definitely inclusivity. I think we're still on the edge of getting diversity in the door, especially in film and in theater. Like there's been a lot of great work that's on the come up and on the rise now, from Black women, other women of color, men of color, Black men, and it's beautiful, but I feel like it's still so small, and I think that it could be like 10 times bigger, because I want to see everything that we have to offer. You know, I think theater is really trying hard to work on that, like especially after Hamilton and then like Hadestown following that, and trying to just be like, we're gonna cast every color, every look, every gender, and just really bring everyone to the table, as opposed to just having token people of color, token LGBT representatives, instead of doing that and just giving everyone a seat at the table. And I think that's one thing also that animation has done really well recently, because a lot of kid shows today are so inclusive, and I've been watching a lot of Netflix and Hulu in quarantine, and I'm like, oh, I'm so amazed by everything that is out there today for kids. And it's like, why isn't that more apparent for adult content? That's crazy. So yeah, I just think more diversity and inclusivity especially.
So, Khaya, what is your process when you are preparing for a cold read?
Okay, preparing for a cold read. I guess just like a quick skim of everything. I like to read a lot. I like to read a lot of fiction, and I feel like because I like to read a lot of fiction, I have a good idea of like the tone of what the piece is going to be after reading the first couple lines at the top of the page. So I definitely I've practiced like reading aloud, just like fiction books, trying to like do that like as I'm reading it, because I feel like that's a good way to practice for when you have to do cold reading. And yeah, I guess just trying to get as much as you can from like the first go of it.
Well, I believe you already have from Cynthia the piece that we would like you to read from today. So it's Schoolgirls, the African Mean Girls play. And if I am remembering correctly, we're going to have you read for Paulina. And Cynthia, if you can read Nana. And whenever you all are ready, you may begin.
Okay. So, Nana, have you forgotten where your loyalty lies?
What? You know I'm always nice with everyone.
I don't give a shit about nice. There's no room for that in this group. Do you hear me? Hello? Do you hear me? Or do you have food stuffed in your ears too, you fucking cow?
Yeah, yes, I hear you.
Now, since you keep getting caught with snacks in class, you have another detention after school today, right?
Yes.
Good. Because I need you to sneak into headmistress's files and pull Erica's out for me.
What?
You heard me.
Paulina, I can't do that. Do you know how much trouble I would get into if headmistress found out?
Do I look like I care?
What do you even need with her files anyway?
That's none of your business.
Well, you're going to have to ask someone else because I can't do that, Paulina. Headmistress has already warned me that if I get any more detentions, it's going to affect me getting into college. And you know how much that means to me. I would be the first in my family.
Well, it obviously doesn't mean enough.
Paulina, no, please, give it back.
Oh, Paulina, please, just let me eat. I just want to go to college. Give me a fucking break, okay?
I'm just hungry.
Then eat. I'll just tell headmistress about all the places you're stashing food. Then you'll get even more detentions and maybe expelled. And I know you don't want to be sent back to your mother with the way she likes to starve you. I mean, I can't blame her. I'd be ashamed if I had a fat-ass daughter, too.
Paulina, please. I can't do that.
But you can avoid all of that strife if you just get me Erica's files. Like I told you the first damn time. Do we have an understanding now?
Yes.
Good. And don't get caught.
And scene. So, oh gosh, y'all too, because so here's my honesty moment. I don't like to read the cold read until the cold read happens. So, hearing it, oh man, yeah. I love it when y'all too. Okay, I'm back. I love y'all too. Okay. How did that feel for you? How did it feel? Just reading and getting in.
It was fun. I mean, I never get cast as the mean girl, so I was like, oh, she's nasty.
You did it really well though, because when you meet you or you're interacting, right, you're like, no, not Khaya, not her. And then as soon as you go in, it's just like boom, and it flowed. And then of course with Cynthia and just her the timidity and the action, like I love the you painted a picture, like the both of you painted a picture and I could see it. And when you're reading and doing theater and those things, your ability as actresses to paint the picture and for me to see it, without seeing it, that's the gift, like so yeah, y'all are it's amazing. I just know, yeah, y'all killed that. That was awesome. Like I could see it.
Yeah,
And I felt bad and I was like, ooh.
I really wanted you to read the mean girl in the scene because having been with you on set before, just how kind you are in general. I wanted to pick somebody totally opposite of who you are. So it was great to see you embody that character. What's next for you? What's next? Do you have anything lined up?
I'm doing a commercial sometime next month. So hopefully that'll be out in a couple months. I just shot a commercial for Casely, the cell phone cases. That was a couple weeks ago. So that'll hopefully be coming out soon, and I'll share it as soon as I get it. I have a couple more podcasts coming out soon for this production called Meet Cute. It's like 15-minute romantic comedy podcasts. They're super fun to do. So I have 4 of those coming out soon-ish, hopefully sometime in the fall, I'm guessing. But I have like 4 more, I think, up on my website already, so you can go check those out. So yeah, I'm just applying to gigs and seeing what I can get and, doing whatever I can.
Well, like I said before, having worked with you on set with Veronique and watching you arrive, we always talk about the students we worked with Veronique on our film from George Mason, how you guys arrived on time, professional, troubleshooted, like everything. And I'm just grateful that I met you on your journey, and hopefully we could all just remain in touch because I'm pretty sure it's whatever is happening is major and you're going to shift the industry. And so I'm really excited for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You have anything, Veronique?
I'm sorry, I'm so stuck on your scene. But I agree with everything Cynthia says. It's always been a blessing to see you work. Your spirit is so beautiful, and your gift is just as beautiful, which means your gift will definitely change the world. And it was a great honor to be able to direct you and work with that team, probably still the most professional people I have worked with to date. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, I just, outside of still being stuck on that scene with y'all too, because it was so good, just know that I share the same sentiments as Cynthia, and I'm going to continue to follow you. And, post-COVID, we will all work together again. So
yeah. And thank you, Veronique, for casting me in that short. That was the first short film that I'd done outside of school. So I remember I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, my first short film.
Well, there will be more to come, and I just have to make sure I can get you at that time. I can call your agent and be like, is she available, and what must we do? So you are definitely gifted and on the track to go far, and I believe even farther than you even realize right now. So
thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope and pray that we get out of this COVID situation and you can start making your moves, because we know that you're going to make a big difference. Thanks for talking with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Roll.